Puberty is starting earlier. Why and what to do, Dr. Huberman.
We began to feel the fire.
Welcome to World's Largest Extremes, where we dive into the most profound and challenging questions facing our world today. And few topics are as sensitive and as crucial to understand as the dramatic shift in human development. It's a phenomenon that has been observed globally. For a variety of reasons, puberty is starting earlier for children, particularly for young females. This trend raises countless questions for parents, educators, and scientists alike. What is driving this change, and what can we do about it? Today, we're not just offering opinions, we're going straight to the source, to the mind of a leading neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Huberman. In an in-depth discussion, he revealed some surprising, and at times controversial, insights into this complex issue. We've analyzed his research and key findings to bring you a clear, concise guide to this extreme biological shift. Let's explore the science of why puberty is starting earlier and the factors parents need to be aware of. The role of body fat. According to Dr. Huberman, one of the most significant factors, particularly for young girls, is an increase in body fat. He explains that when a sufficient amount of body fat accumulates in a female, it releases a hormone called leptin. This hormone plays a critical role in regulating energy balance and can also act as a trigger for the onset of puberty.
We know that one of the things that can trigger the onset of puberty, in particular in females, is that when enough body fat accumulates, that body fat releases a hormone called leptin. And that hormone leptin travels in the bloodstream across the blood-brain barrier and goes to the hypothalamus and can trigger the onset of puberty by activating the neurons that release gonadotropin-releasing hormone. So many people believe that one of the reasons that puberty is happening earlier and earlier in females is because of the accumulation of more body fat at younger ages than was observed 30 or 40 and certainly 100 years ago.
He's careful to note that this isn't simply about the obesity crisis. He suggests that due to improved nutrition and other environmental factors, children are simply accumulating more body fat at younger ages. It's a biological trigger that has a profound impact on development, but it's not the only factor at play.
Now, I can already imagine a number of people are thinking, oh, this must relate to the obesity crisis. And indeed, there is a crisis of obesity. Obesity is something that is causing all sorts of problems with people's health at various levels, brain and body. And that is far more frequent today than it was even 20 years ago. So it is indeed a crisis because it has enormous detrimental effects for so many aspects of brain and body health and longevity. But this whole process of thinking about body fat signaling leptin to the hypothalamus and the onset of puberty doesn't necessarily have to do with the obesity crisis. It might relate, but it could also relate to, for instance, improved nutrition, which is allowing body fat stores to accumulate, maybe not to the level of obesity, but to accumulate earlier and at younger ages in females, which is then causing earlier puberty in females.
The story, as with all biology, is far more complex. Behavioral and psychosocial interactions. This next point is where Dr. Huberman's research offers a truly unexpected insight. He discusses the powerful, and often overlooked, role of behavioral and psychosocial interactions. He explains that early puberty in young females may be influenced by exposure to the scent of a reproductively competent male who is not a close biological relative. This might sound strange, but it's a concept rooted in chemical communication. The scent signals can act as a trigger, signaling to the young female's body that it is time for the reproductive process to begin. But here's the critical counterbalance. Dr. Huberman also notes that a young female being regularly exposed to the scent of her own biological father could buffer or offset this effect. This suggests a protective mechanism, where a father's presence can signal a stable and safe family environment, which in turn influences the timing of puberty.
instance, in the United States, around 1900 or 1903, the average age of menarche, the onset of puberty in females, was about 14 years old, whereas in 1990, the average age is 11. So that's a pretty significant, we can say, acceleration of the onset of puberty. I should also mention that there are a number of different behavioral and psychosocial, as they're called, interactions that can influence puberty as well. This has been most strikingly observed in animals, and so I don't want anyone to be alarmed or to leap to any great conclusions about the onset of timing of puberty in humans, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about a certain result which shows that if a young female is exposed to the odor, not necessarily the pheromones, right? There's a distinction between odors that we perceive and pheromones which are subconscious, right? That we don't actively perceive, but that can impact our biology, and pheromone effects in humans are very controversial. But we know, for instance, that if you take a female animal, and there's some evidence from humans that if you take a young prepubertal female and you expose her to the scent of a reproductively competent male for a series of days, but maybe even as short as a few hours, and she is also not regularly being exposed to the scent of her father, that she can undergo puberty earlier. That's right. There is something about the odor and or pheromones, or perhaps something else, that occurs when a young prepubertal female has a father that she's in regular contact with. He wouldn't necessarily have to live at home, but that is around a lot, that his smell, is registered by her biological systems, that I don't want to say protects because it kind of skews the valence of the conversation, but that offsets or buffers the otherwise observed effect, which is that the scent of a reproductively competent male, if it's present often enough or perhaps intensely enough, that it can trigger the onset of puberty in that female. In other words, the scent of a male that is not the father, and we think also that is not biologically related to her, can trigger earlier onset of puberty, and that effect can at least be partially buffered by her being in the presence of the scent from her biological father.
Parental response, a note of caution. Given these complex and nuanced findings, what is a parent to do? This is a question that Dr. Huberman addresses with great care. He makes it clear that we must avoid leaping to simplistic conclusions. For example, he warns against an extreme and misguided response like a parent restricting a daughter's exposure to males of reproductive age. He emphasizes that the science is a puzzle with many pieces, and it would be a mistake to focus on just one element in isolation. Many other factors, from genetics to environmental influences, are all part of the larger picture. The key takeaway is this: Dr. Huberman's insights provide a new lens through which to view this issue, but they do not offer a simple, prescriptive solution.
Some of you are probably already leaping to conclusions about what this means. Should you not allow your daughter to be exposed to any males who are of reproductive age, etc.? Is certainly not what I'm saying. There's a huge number of considerations that go into that calculation for everybody and circumstances, etc. But the point is that the odors of individuals, both related, in particular closely related, and non-related individuals, can shape the neural systems and the hormone systems that can trigger the onset of puberty or suppress the onset.
Instead, they call for a deeper understanding of the biological and social factors at play. The goal is not to control these changes, but to understand them, and to foster a healthy, supportive environment for our children as they navigate these extreme and important developmental milestones.
Our hearts beat to the city streets.
This is a topic with countless variables and a great deal of nuance. What are your thoughts on Dr. Huberman's insights? Do you have questions about these biological and psychosocial triggers? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful and helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to World Largest Extremes for more deep dives into the most important questions of our time. Thanks for watching.